Hey guys, welcome back to the Power Shift Factory. Today we are going to be testing how good my memory is at putting my Supercoupe back together. We lost the power steering cap. Alright guys, so here's what we got going on with the Supercoupe. I have had my power brakes fail on me, so I have spent a bunch of time and ripped out the Tevez Mark II brake unit and have sent it off to get rebuilt. Unfortunately, that's going to take about 2 months to get rebuilt. So while the car is down for all that time, I've decided to fix everything I can. All these little nagging issues, mainly oil leaks. So what I've done so far is I've changed the timing cover gasket out. I put a new water pump in the car. And today we are going to be working on replacing the stock water to oil cooler.
Is that specific to the Supercoupe? I don't think my V6 had one of those.
Yeah, this is one of the modifications that Ford did to the Supercoupe V6 that the Mustangs and naturally aspirated V6s did not have. When you got a boosted engine, you need some oil cooling. It's really hard on the oil. And these water to oil units are really good for a factory application. But really all they do is they put that heat in the oil just into your radiator. But they get the oil up to temperature really quick, so they're really good for the factory use of the car, but they're not so great for high performance. So what we are going to do today is replace that with a snazzy Mishimoto oil to air cooler with thermostatic sandwich plate. And this kit is not for a Supercoupe or any of these at all. This is actually a kit for a Foxbody that we have just kind of bought as a baseline and that we're going to adapt into the car. So let's get into it.
I'm good you didn't throw it at me this time.
I thought about it. All right, well, I've already taken a little bit of time to mount the coolers on the front. They were pretty easy. It's really not a big deal, especially with the radiator out, to get those mounted. So we're not really going to go through that. But now it's time to start working on the plumbing. So the Mishimoto Oil Cooler Kit I got came with this thermostatic sandwich plate, and this is going to replace the factory unit. It's actually a fair bit slimmer, I'd say. So we're going to go ahead and install that and take a look where everything goes.
Do you need to use the Teflon tape for those?
No. Nope, no Teflon tape for any of this.
What do you usually use that for then?
Teflon tape is used for the tapered NPT fittings.
Oh, only tapered?
Yeah, so like these fittings are like O-ring fittings, so they've got an O-ring. Or like the AN fittings are like a flare, so they seal on the flare and they don't need anything else. But the tapered pipe fittings, they just are like an interference taper fit. And so, yeah, stuff will leak through the threads, whereas like this is a precision machined sealing surface face. So, fun question. Tech tip of the day.
Today I learned.
All right, so we got the sandwich plate loosely put in. Now this Mustang kit comes with these straight, I think they're like an M20 O-ring fitting to a -8 or -10 AN, and on this car I think they're going to stick out just way too much and interfere with the belt. So I don't think that's going to work for us because we've got a lot of belts with the supercharger on this car to work around. So I picked up these tight 90-degree fittings from Mishimoto, and I think they're going to do the trick, but we're going to find out once we start checking the plumbing on everything.
This mic is so sensitive that I can hear myself breathing. It's kind of creepy.
Well, if you were a little less creepy, that would be not so bad.
I can't help it.
Did you know those super silent rooms? Like the like, I don't know what they call them.
Oh, with like the padding on the the walls?
Yeah, like apparently the most quiet rooms, people can only be in them for a little bit because they freak out because they hear their heartbeat. They hear their heartbeat. They hear the blood moving through their body because it's so quiet, and it like really freaks them out.
That's hardcore.
I don't think I could handle it either.
Yeah, they're like those sensory deprivation rooms.
Yeah, except it kind of is the opposite. Is it's like,
yeah, if you got
enhances your sound substantially because there's no other noise.
That's wild.
Fun facts. The world is a crazy place. Boy, I sure hope all these hoses clear all of the, serpentine belts.
That would be unfortunate. You get everything all put back together and it's like they don't fit. You're like, well, shit.
I think it will, but we'll find out whether everything clears or not. And that's why we've got everything kind of partially here, so we can find out if the serpentine belt's going to clear everything.
Well, you got 2 months.
Yep. Figure it out. Okay. So I got the sandwich plate mounted in. I got the fittings mounted in. The cooler's mounted in. And so I suppose it's time to run some of our lines. Let's see here. I'm going to start with fitting the longer line first. Coming from below here. Little pro tip here, if your car has any AN lines, you should pick up a set of the caps for the hoses and the fittings, just in case you need to take stuff off and it's got oil in it. You can throw a cap on it so it doesn't, pour oil everywhere while you're working on it. And they're good to keep the dust out of things when you've got lines off, so good little tip there. I'm a professional, so you should listen to me. No, that's not true. We're not professionals. We're just amateurs. We do this for fun. All right, now we're going to get this shorter custom hose I have made. We're going to get this sucker on and let's see if it fits. Sneak that in here too.
So you've got the oil and the other one was the power steering cooler?
Yep.
Is that one set up yet, or are we doing that one as well?
Yeah, if we can, we're going to do the power steering cooler today as well. That's got some crimped hoses that we got to cut, but should be pretty easy. Should be a lot easier than the oil cooler, to be honest. So, yes, it is on the list. So, today is cooler day. Although it doesn't feel very cool in the shop. It's about 80 degrees in here right now, so, there's that.
You're very sparkly in the camera.
I am very sparkly in the camera. That means I'm a vampire, I guess. Hope that everything reaches. Or not.
Game over.
That shoot, it doesn't reach. Well, I guess I'm going to have to order me another hose.
Uh-oh, how far off is it?
Oh, more than I'd like it to be off.
So that custom one that you got, is that the one that we're talking about?
Yeah, the custom one I ordered is like...
Did you get to pick the length?
Yeah, and I just did. I knew I was using the 3-foot line that came with the kit, so I said,
should be close.
2-foot line, and the cooler's about 1 foot wide, so I'll get a 2-foot line and it'll fit right up. But order another one. That's what I get for guessing instead of measuring. I should have just measured, but I just guessed. And,
Rookie mistake.
That is a rookie mistake. That's true. Why are all of these being a pain in the ass today?
Because we're recording and we're trying to do things.
I know.
I mean, just like
That is the nature of the beast. Everything's like nothing threads together nicely when you're recording. Everything wants to cross thread.
the AC or the compressor turns on. The Amazon truck likes to beep as it backs up.
Yeah, somebody pulls in blaring music all the time. Probably. What is going on with this? All right, let's get these hoses at least put on and sealed up, and then we're gonna, I don't know, we'll check our clearances on the pulleys a little bit before we move on to the power steering pump. Since, you know, we gotta order a new hose. It's pretty fancy, huh? Okay, there we go. Screw that down. Cap this in there fitting. Keep oil from getting in all of this. Or not oil, dirt, I don't know, bugs, whatever it may be.
10mm socket.
10mm, yeah. Don't get your 10mm sockets in your oil lines. You're gonna have a bad day. I can assure you of that. Not that I speak from experience, I've never done that, but you know, it could happen. All right. All right, now if you guys have one of these cars, probably a really good upgrade to have is one of the BHJ balancers. They're super strong. They have an extended, I don't know, bore or whatever. They're not going to break like a stock one will with the supercharger drive. And they're SFI rated, so if you don't have one and you got a Supercoupe, you should probably get one. But they're super expensive and are becoming kind of hard to get. But that's what I've got here, and I'll put this sucker back on. And we might not be able to hook up all the hoses, but we can check to see if the serpentine belt's going to clear them at least. So that's what we're going to do. Huzzah! Put this bad boy in here. Crankshaft on the Supercoupes is forged, whereas the normal 3/8 is, well, not forged. Nodular iron probably, but it is forged on the Supercoupes. One thing to note with these pulleys, though, is they only go on one way, so the bolts only line up, and there is a mark right here that can line up with the top dead center on your balancer, so you can use that to tell that you have aligned it correctly. And then you can happily install all of your bolts. I'm looking right at it, so I figured I'd talk about it. One of the other differences between the Supercoupe 3.8 liter and something that was like in the Mustangs or the Ford Tauruses is the engine block is completely different. It's a stronger casting, and it's got more, you know, casting strengthening ridges in it. It is marked on the front of the block. It has an SC marked in the block, whereas the Mustang has a rear-wheel drive, or RWD, embossed on the block there, and the cylinder heads on the Supercoupe are different than the Mustang's got, and they have an SC stamping right on the top of the cylinder head here. And the cylinder heads on the Supercoupe flow the most out of the single port 3.8 liter heads, and they're supposed to have better cooling passages to prevent head gasket failure. So those are some of the finer details that separate out the Supercoupe 3.8 from a basic Mustang 1. You know, other than like the forged crankshaft and the supercharger. So, all right, let's get this pulley finished. Get it installed and check our belt situation and see if these oil cooler lines are going to clear. All right, we're not going to torque these bolts right now because we're just checking stuff. We will torque them once we're all done and everything's all happy. So, also the motor's turning over when I'm doing this, so you can wait. Now, where's my power steering pulley?
That I can't help you with.
I think it's right here. Yep. All right, now let's get the power steering pulley on, and that should be enough to check whether our belt is going to clear all this fancy oil cooler stuff. Yeah, and you absolutely need these special tools to put these power steering pulleys on or pull them off. So if you've got a Ford and you're going to mess with this, don't use a 3-jaw puller. Get the special tool. It's not that expensive. We've actually used this tool kind of a lot. Way worth it.
Well, seeing as how we have 10 Mustangs and 4 other Fords.
Yep. Yeah, it also works on my Dakota.
Well, that's handy.
So
Literally every vehicle we have,
pretty much.
except for Monster Truck.
It probably works on Monster Truck. I think Monster Truck probably has the same power steering pump as my Dakota.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
I bet it does. I would be unsurprised if it does. Cool. I chose the lamest wrench for this. That's okay, good. All right, now I got the right tools. Let's get this installed. How many times did we? Yeah, we've done footage of this with this puller on this car. Oh my gosh.
Yep, remember we were going to do a counter, but we decided against it.
Yeah, that's true. That was true. That was painful. Now it's just as painful. Got about a hand's width of space between everything, so I think that's gonna work perfectly once I get me a new custom line that's, you know, about 8 inches or so longer. So cool. All right, well, now that we know that's gonna work, I think it's time to dig into the power steering cooler. See if we can get that done. All right. You want to be really careful when you do something like this that you don't cut too deep. You just want to, you know, go until you smell burned rubber and then stop. And I like to get a screwdriver in here and pry the little fitting the crimp end off. Hopefully. All right, well, I picked up this 3/8 silicone hose online, and we're going to replace the stock rubber line, which was destroyed because it's been on the car since 1992, with this new silicone line, and run it to the new, much larger cooler. If you can, whoa, that's some, you know, just rust prevention there. This is the factory cooler. It's, well, it's seen better days, and it's puny, so it's out of here. Well, we did not get a whole lot of the car back together today, but we did get some things back together and we learned a lot. So what did we actually do? Well, we got the pulley for the crankshaft back on. We got the power steering pulley back on. But more importantly, we learned some information. We learned that the 150 degree -10 AN fitting on the oil cooler, like to the frame rail, clears it absolutely perfectly. We also learned that that hose is about 10 inches too short, so we got to get another one. That sucks, but yeah, it's hot rodding, and that's how it goes. So we got to get a new hose there to get it made up to the sandwich adapter. But we did learn that the serpentine belt is going to clear all of that stuff, just with plenty of space, honestly, to spare, which is super good. That's really good to know. That means this setup is completely going to work despite the limited space on the Supercoupe. And we did get the power steering lines hooked up. So we still got to, seal everything up, torque some stuff, but, we're getting progress. And I think that's what it's all about today, is just getting out here, working on the car, and getting some forward progress on it while we're waiting for our brake unit to come back. So it's not a loss. I'll order a new line, and then once that line's here, we'll throw that line on. And essentially the coolers are a complete wrap, and then we can start assembling the rest of the motor. Putting other things back in place on the motor and get it back on the road. So it might not seem like a lot of progress, but to us, really, it is pretty good progress. We're doing something custom, and that takes a little bit more time. So I think the moral of the story is get out there, get some progress on your project, and it'll be done before you know it. Stay tuned for the next episode.